What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jalen Dolls, of course, and this is Jalen Unplugged. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because I am switching the content up. I wanted to switch it up a little bit just because I wanted to focus more on trading, because in reality, I'm a trader first, content creator second, and I just felt like I was focusing a little bit too much on the content, and I wanted to focus more on my trading and getting better at my craft, just elevating myself as a trader. So I decided to take a little bit of time off from YouTube, but obviously I'm still trading every single day. With that being said, I went ahead and started a $500 live account. And with me doing so, I also withdrew some money to make sure that I remember that this live account is actual cash and it's not just like a prop firm account where I'm paying $50 for $1,000. No, this is actually my money that I put in. I invested $500 into this account and I'm doing pretty good so far. So I wanted to do a little bit of a recap of how it's going so far, and I'm going to continue to make these videos as I go along on this journey with this account. With the cash, I withdrew the cash to show myself what my stop loss and my TPs are looking like. I wanted to make sure that I'm sticking to my risk, so I took out the cash. I'm risking $50 per trade, 50 to 100 depends on the setup, but pretty much I want to stick to $50 per trade, with $50 being my my stop loss risk amount. I have $100 cash here. This is what TP2 looks like. Anytime we come above TP2 and it's a good area where I should set my stop loss, I am going to set my stop loss, so I remember to make the $100 for the day. TP3 to TP4 is normally about 2 and change, so I have $200 here. TP5 TP6 I believe is somewhere around like 300 and change, or 4 to 500, but just to remember that $300 is a decent amount of cash. I mean, like, look at that. You see this every single day on your desk. You would want this. You would want to have this in your pocket. So I made sure I took out cash to have a visual of what the money actually is and what it stands for, because we have to remind ourselves that money is not real, but like it's a cool thing to see, cool thing to have. So to remind myself that the money is somewhat real and I can physically grab the cash out of the screen and have it, I have the cash to remind myself to take profit when I get it. So that is that. Let's go ahead and jump on the charts real quick. I wanted to show you guys a trade that I watched play out today. I didn't actually take it because today's Wednesday. It's a non-trade day for me. That's why I decided to kind of make this video real quick. So let's jump onto the charts. I'm going to show you guys the trade that I seen play out today. I could have made more money today, but it is what it is. I'm sticking to my rules and I'm not trading on Wednesdays. Wednesdays and Fridays, I don't trade. So I'm sticking to that, but I do still like to jump on a chart and mark it up and see if it still plays out in my favor. Then I'll go over the trades that I took on the live account so far. I've only taken 2 trades, Monday and Tuesday of this week. They were both green. And I'll go over that on Top Step X so you guys can actually see my entry points and my exit points and why I took the entries and exits or whatever. So let's go ahead and jump on the chart and then we'll jump into that next. Let's go. Jumping on the computer today, I seen that the market is still bearish. Yes, we did come down a couple times and we are respecting lows. As you can see, we're coming up and respecting lows. But overall, we are respecting this supply up here. We slowed down once we tapped into it. As you can see, we didn't just explode out of it. If we were going to break the supply, we would have broken it already coming into the day. And then we had this push down and we broke the low here. So with us breaking this low, I'm looking bearish on the daily. Now coming to the 4-hour, as you can see, we still popped up into the supply here. You're getting a little bit more detail. We did not break this high. So with us not breaking that high, this is my overall high, but this is a high that is being respected at the moment. And as you can see, we have another supply here. I didn't even mark this. We have another supply here. Oh, crap. We have another supply here that got tapped into and respected. We pushed down, broke this low. So with us doing that, I am still bearish on the 4-hour. Jumping into the 1-hour, I see that we have all the details. We had a higher high, then we broke the low here, making this our new low. So with that being our new low, we are now bearish if we come back up and respect this high. So we did that. We came back up, respected this high, and dumped. With us having that dump, we are now here in the market. Yes, we are breaking back to the upside, but we would have to break this high right here for me to feel like we are bullish. Because if we're not breaking a high on the 1 hour or the 4 hour, there's no way I'm looking just to take the high of a 5 minute or 30 minute or whatever, because I'm going to respect my higher time frame. So with that being said, we scale into the 30 minute, and as you can see, we had a low here, a minor low, but it was still broken. But we are respecting this low right here, but technically we need a pullback because we did just push all the way down, and this is a area of consolidation. So I would be expecting price to come back up, and since we're bearish, I would look for us to be respecting these highs over here to push back lower to take these lows or even these lows, because you have to remember on the higher time frame we are what, bearish. So we would technically be coming to take this low right here. This would be like the 4 hour target is right here. So we would be coming to take this low, or we would be coming to tap up into this. But I don't think we would just jump this far on with the structure that we are currently making, because we are just not shooting straight up. We're kind of like consolidating a little bit and ranging just a tiny bit. So I would expect price to maybe tap up into here when I came into the 15 minute. Oh no, 5 minute, sorry. So with me, when I came onto the 5 minute, I was expecting price to tap up into this area here, and then for me to take the sell to the downside. As you can see, we are breaking high, 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 but because we have this zone right here, I'm expecting once we come into this zone that we're going to do the same thing that we're doing on a higher time frame, which is respecting the highs and then dropping lower to take the lows. So we came up, we did not come all the way up as high as I wanted to, but as you can see on the 1 minute, we are going to be repeating basically the same pattern that we're seeing on the 1 minute. We're going to be waiting for that pattern to be happening on the 1 minute that's happening on the higher time frame. So I'm expecting the high to get respected and then to break lower and to stop breaking highs on the 1 minute. But this would be the area that I would be like, you know what, if we break this high, I don't think we're going to be taking sells anymore. We would probably be taking buys. But because we did not break above this, I was still expecting a sell-off to happen. And once we came up at 8:13, I seen that we completely stopped. So I was like, you know what? Let me mark this high out. This would probably be a high that would get respected, because we have what to the left? Fair value gaps. And we technically just tapped into a supply right here, because we have a low that was broken up into, but then we respected it in the midpoint. So this is a decent fair value gap. And what do we have further to the left? We have a demand that got inverted, which made that push down to take the low. So this is a really strong area of interest that we could expect the trade to play out from. I was expecting price to either respect this high here or to break lower, come up, and tap into here. But because we didn't tap into here and we respected this high, I then scaled into the 15-second, which you can see here on Top Step X, which I love Top Step X for having the 15-second chart. Because if it didn't, I would have never learned this entry that I take now. Because that gives me a very, very clear confirmation that we are going to just break lower and not come back up. And if we do break back up, I would want to get out as fast as possible, which would be at these highs. But I do always go a little bit above just to make sure I'm not going to get wicked out very tiny. But me trading like this makes my stop loss super, super small. With me trading the way I do, I normally only risk about $50, which is about 50 points. I mean five points on futures. So with this stop loss, as you can see, we are only using 4 points. So I would have only been risking $40 on this trade, or somewhere near $40 on this trade today, if I would have taken this trade. And as you can see here, the trade played out beautifully. We would have gotten our entry and had zero drawdown. Literally, would have entered, came down, came back up a little bit on the next candle, but after that candle, no drawdown, and we would have sank straight down and hit TP. Now, the reason I have TP so low and I would have made a 1 to 13 is because once we tap into a supply, what is going to happen next? If we are bearish, we are going to break lows and tap into a demand as a target, or we would just break lows and continue. So with us having a low right here as a target, this was exactly how I was looking at it. My target is technically a 1 to 9 because I'm just looking for the lows to get broken and then continue to a demand. So with the lows getting broken here at a 1 to 9, as you can see, we could have had a beautiful 1 to 9 here, or I would have probably held it to a 1 to 13, which would have gave us a great amount of RR and a beautiful, beautiful risk that we would have had on this trade. It would have been super tight stops. I could have taken advantage of it if I wanted to, but I wanted to stick to my trading plan and not jump into a trade that I probably shouldn't, because Wednesdays, for me, Wednesdays don't really work that well. I tend to lose on Wednesdays and Fridays. That's why I don't want to trade. That's why I didn't take the trade today. But if we would have, let's just see what we would have had for profit. So at the first target, which is the break of the low, we would have made 351, which is pretty much what I did yesterday. Or we could have held to the total. We could have held to the demand, as you can see over here. We have a demand, so that would be the end of where I would want to go, and we would be breaking 1, 2, 3 lows. And as you can see, since we have a demand here, we are capable of ranging after hitting this demand because it's a target, and we are already getting a lot of RR. That is a 1 to 10 trade. So why be greedy and look for more than that when you could literally make $500 in one day off of $50, which is really what I did yesterday. I made 3 and change off of 50 something dollars. But look at this, straight down to target. And keep in mind, it is only, as you can see at the bottom, it is 9:30 here. So that means technically we could have closed out of our position by 9:25 before market even opens for New York, bro. My strategy is so crazy, bro. The way I trade is so crazy. But as you can see, we would have had entire TP. So let's go over the trade that I actually took the last couple days to show you guys that. Let's go over what we actually took, and then I'll show you guys my P&L and stuff like that on my broker, just in case people don't believe that I actually take these trades. So let's go over my Monday trade. As you can see, let's go to the 5-minute real quick. As you can see, overall, we are bullish coming into market open. If you look at it this way, we are super bullish coming into market open because Sunday we had news that we are in war. And with gold being a real good asset to put your money into to save your money, obviously gold is going to go up. So with us popping up so high, I was expecting a slight retracement, and we got that retracement here. As you can see, we have a demand here. And I think by the time I got on a computer, we were like here. No, 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock is like around this area. So we were around this area when I was looking at the computer. So as you can see, we have a demand that got tapped into, and we respected. We did kind of break the, we didn't really break the low, but we came really close to it. But we did overall end up holding, and then we pushed higher, and technically we broke highs on the lower time frame. We broke back into another zone. So let's scale in so I can show you guys that zone that I was looking at for price to hold. So on the 1 minute, as you can see, we have this demand that got respected here. And then now let's look at the candles that formed after that demand gets respected. So demand got respected, creates a new demand because we have gaps here, but we only tapped as low as here. And then we broke up into, like, market started to move like it wanted to break highs. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. But then we ended up breaking the high. Once we broke the high, I was like, you know what? This might be a really good potential trade, but I probably shouldn't look for it to go any higher than this top over here because we haven't broke highs in a while. But I had a feeling that we would break highs, especially with us respecting over here. So I decided to take my position at 8 o'clock once market opened. We literally tapped in at market open. And then I scaled in on the 15-second time frame. We gotta zoom out. Where are we at? Where are we at? Okay, here we go. I scaled in on the 15-second time frame. Now I'm just waiting for a reaction off of this zone. Took the break of the high, took the low as a stop loss, and then we ended up popping up, breaking highs on the we ended up breaking this high to the left right here. This is technically a supply because we broke lower after trying to go higher. We ended up pushing lower again. So technically this is a high and we ended up breaking it here. Once I seen this break, I was like, okay, we might to keep going up because it was a really good push. As you can see, this candle pushed all the way up here, but did not close up here. We got really close to breaking these highs over here, but then we pushed back down. But I wasn't too worried about the position because technically, if this low here doesn't get broken, which is another smaller time frame demand, as you can see right here, I shouldn't be worried. So I decided to just hold and watch what price is going to do. And then we ended up pushing all the way up into this lower time frame supply. Once we broke up into this lower time frame supply, let me pull this back so you guys can see. Once we broke back up into this lower time frame supply, but then we did not break the supply high, I was like, damn, we might not break because we are technically in a consolidation zone and we could push back lower and break my my low and keep making bearish structure, because last move was a bearish move. As you can see, we had a low here and we broke that low once we were up here in this area without touching the overall consolidation high. So because we didn't break this high, I was like, damn, we didn't break the high, we might break lower and start breaking lows. So I seen this as a demand, even though yes, it's not a black candle. Sometimes these candles right here that make a huge gap get respected as a demand, especially if to the left there's a supply. And what do we have to the left? We have another supply area. So this should have held from this first candle right here. And what was right there as well? My 1 to 2. So I decided to move my stop loss up to 1 to 2. Why did I do that? Because this is my 1 to 2. Why would I not take this if the market gives me this, even if I'm wrong? So if I was wrong, I'm still getting $100 because price could come back all the way down and take me out and take my $50. Why would I give market my $50 when I could take $100 that it gave me? So I moved my stop loss up to 1 to 2, got taken out on my live account for $100. But on my Top Step accounts, and I did take this on both of my Top Step accounts, I risked 2 contracts, which is me risking $100, and I made $231. So why would I not take that if the market gives it to me? That was my 1 to 2 for my live account and my 1 to 2 that I took on my Express accounts. So let's go over the trade that I took yesterday on Tuesday. Because yesterday coming in, we were super bearish. As you can see on the 5-minute, we are doing nothing but breaking lows. This is a stupidly easy trade that I took. Like, it was a no-brainer that we were going to be taking the taking a sell over taking a buy. So yes, coming into markets, when I got onto the computer, we were technically breaking a lower time frame high, as you can see right here. So I first was expecting price to come all the way up to this supply up here. I didn't have this area marked yet. I was expecting price to come up to this supply, but price failed to come all the way up just because we had a lot of sellers in this little fair value gap, as you can see. And as you can see, it is the direct middle of that fair value gap where that bottom wick is. Because we have that equilibrium peak, I was like, you know what? We might just continue lower. So let's scale in and look for a entry. Now, once I scaled in, I seen that we had another good supply area here. And let me bring that line back because it would make more sense. Once I seen that, yo, we have another area where price could come back to and we could get a really good trade off of. Just because, yes, we broke this high, but then what happened right after we made a new low? Because we did break higher once again, but then price failed to continue higher and we broke this low, making a new supply. So I technically wanted my entry to be up here, but what happened once we did that? Now scaling into the 1 minute, you can see a lot more detail of what's actually happening in the market. So first you can see we have a demand area that got respected, but also we have what happened right after we break a bunch of lows. We have nothing but an extension. So what do we need after an extension? We need a pullback. So a pullback happened. We ended up pulling up. We broke this high to the left. As you can see here, we have a small time frame supply that did technically get broken, but what is right after that supply? A rejection area that was previously getting respected as a demand. As you see, we had a demand push, came back, respected it, and then pushed higher. And then we broke highs. So this is a really strong area that can be flipped and used as a supply. So that's exactly what I did on the smaller time frame. I just waited for more confirmation. So what happened once we tapped into this supply area? We technically pushed back down, creating a new supply. And then what happens once we tap into that supply again? We failed to break highs dramatically. If we were to break these highs and keep pushing, I was expecting the price to come up to here and then we would have took the sell from up there. But what happened once we tapped into that area a couple times? Let's go back here. Okay. But what happened in this area? We tapped up, and then I seen that we rejected, pushed really strong. Because if we were to respect these lows right here, this technically should have been our new higher low to get respected to continue to break these highs. But we did not get that. What happened? We broke a high to the left over here, but price respected this area, giving a good rejection. So all I'm waiting for is now a really good confirmation to show that we are going to continue to break lows. And what happened right before we took our entry, we had a low form. But right after having this low form, we are really high in this little area for this gap to get respected. Because if the gap is going to get respected, it's going to get respected at the lowest point possible, showing that there's strong buyers. But we didn't get that. We got strong, weak buyers in here. So this area should get respected if this high gets respected. And we took up most of the zone. So with us taking most of the zone already, this area should not get broken. And I decided to take the entire zone as my stop. And then just take the first entry that price gives me after the second push. And when did we get that second push? It was right after the break of this low. And that is exactly where I got in on the 15-second chart. But I'm not gonna lie, I was really tempted to take my profit here on this demand, but honestly I did not. I waited for the tap of the overall zone. As you can see, we have here on the 5 minute, we have what to the left? Another demand. So all I did was just take price to the demand, which gave me a little bit more than a 1 to 5. And on Top Step, you can see we secured 790 on this trade, pulling it all the way down to the demand area that we had formed. But as you can see, price did continue lower, so I could have held it, but I am really good with a 1 to 5. I don't want to be greedy, but price did never come back to my entry. I could have really held this until we broke the low, but it is what it is. I did see this low and I did want to use it as my target, but we just had a lot of weird confirmations going on to the upside. Because you see, we did break this high, but then we respected. So I was just like, you know what? Let me be smart about my position and just get what the market gives me. And we secured my entire 300. So I was like, I should just get out as soon as I can. So I only targeted the low, which gave me a little bit more than $300. I believe it was like 370 something. As you can see, my live account is here on NinjaTrader. As you can see, I'm going to shake the screen a little bit, but I don't want to show you guys my account number, like the actual account number. But as you can see, this is a open account. Let's show the P&L here. So as you can see, on the second, we had no money on it in this account until the 26th. So the 26th is when I made my deposit and I made this actual account. And today is the 4th. And then as you can see, on the 27th, we deposited the $500. We didn't have our first trade until, where is it? So we didn't have our first trade until the 2nd. You can see we made the first $100 trade. We brought the account up to 594. The account was at 497 or something like that. So we made $100 on the first trade, and then on the second trade, which was on the 3rd, the next day, we brought the account up to 967 with the 3 and change that we made on our second trade. So we are doing really good so far with our account. It's not really a flip because I'm only risking $50, which is really not bad for a $500 account, as long as you only take 1 to 2 trades a day, which is really all I take anyway. And as you can see, I really pay attention to the positions that I take, and I use a lot of confirmations, even though I do trade on a 15-second. It's not like I'm gambling, just saying, oh, I want to get in or I want to get out. I use a lot of confirmations. I have been only trading like this for the last, I want to say, like month or so. I really just been trying to focus on making the strategy a little bit better. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Oh, by the way, if you guys do want to trade live with me, or want to keep up with the account challenge, I guess, for the next 30 days or so, I do have a Discord that I came out with, just because I wanted to create something where like people can all get together and learn how to trade and live trade with me. But I didn't want it to be stupidly expensive like the one that I paid for. I wanted it to be a little bit more budget friendly, but you would get to trade live with me every single day. And I think it's a really good place to come if you are trying to get better but don't want to spend a lot of money. And you just want to perfect your craft and get better at trading overall. No, you don't have to trade like me. No, you don't have to join my community. But I did really feel like being in a community where a lot of people are trading somewhat the same. You don't have to use, not everyone has to use the same exact strategy. But when you are with a bunch of people that are constantly pushing you to get better and be better and keeping you level headed, no matter how you're doing in your trading, good or bad, I feel like it's a really good thing to have. And I mean, I think it worked for me. As you can see, I've only been trading for a little over a year, like a year and a half, but I've only been like actively trading like in the market for, I want to say like 10 months or like a year. Yeah, just about a year. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for this video. I gotta go to work because it is 11:43. I gotta work at 12:45. But yeah, so like, comment, subscribe. The link to my Discord is going to be below. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay tuned, and we are out. Deuces.